What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Walk on Wisdom. I'm your host, Michael Chandler, and as we start every single show, every single week, every single time, I am by no means an expert at anything, but I do know quite a few things about quite a few things because I've been around the world a couple times and been fighting in hand-to-hand combat for the last 25 years. Father, husband, man of faith, sinner saved by grace, and a guy who's just trying to figure out this thing that we call life. So I appreciate you guys consistently and persistently sending in your questions, asking for my advice, and letting me impart my wisdom into your life. And whether it's your question or whether it's somebody else who's going through the same thing, because one thing that you will realize in the thread of all of these different questions that are sent into podcast at michaelchandler.com, all of these questions, they're different people, different ages, different genders, different areas of the world, different socioeconomic statuses, and a multitude of different backgrounds. But a lot of the questions are pretty similar because we all are going through a lot of the same things. And God created us for relationship. He created us for community, and he created us to feed off of one another, help one another. As the great Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want in life. So we will get right into it. But remember, all we ask with this show, we don't have sponsors, we don't have ads, we don't have any of that stuff. It is just me imparting my wisdom. All I ask is that you share the show, share the link, like, subscribe, comment, heart, do whatever you do on the socials, and leave a review and send it out to your friends if something that I say today speaks to you or would be speaking to somebody that you love. And also send in more questions to podcast at michaelchandler.com. With that, let's get right into it. The first question comes from Taylor. Hey, Michael, I'm unsure if my question has been asked before, but I'll ask anyway. And that's no problem because we have a lot of repeat questions. And each day I am feeling different about different things, as we all are as humans. So don't worry about it, Taylor. What is your advice when you feel mentally defeated? I have days where I feel like I'm so deep in the trenches that I'm unsure how to truly get out. I've always been the type of person who masks their problems and keeps them held in, no matter how big or small they are. Life is so overwhelming at times that it feels like I'm gasping for air trying to keep up. I love that you have taken the time to answer people's questions genuinely and with care. See you at the top, Taylor. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for your question, for your admission that sometimes it feels as though you are trying to gasp for air, that your head is barely above water and the waves keep crashing over you. The metaphoric waves keep crashing over you, because I've been in this scenario 1,000 times in my life, as has almost everybody that is listening right now. And I think that's where we want to start. Number one, I just spoke about this last week on stage, talking about my problems, my fears, my doubts, my insecurities, my failures, my losses, my embarrassments, my shame, my guilt, all the things that I've gone through that have molded me into the man that I am today. I always bring it back to every single person that you have ever looked up to, wanted to emulate, wanted to be like, wanted to have what they have, be who they be, do what they do. They have all gone through similar scenarios. And I would even go as far as to say, you like them, follow them, admire them, probably because they have a positive view of what they want to create in life. They have a forward trajectory. They have a target and a bullseye that they are trying to hit. And the bigger the bullseye, the bigger the dream, the bigger the goal, the more propensity and easier it is for you to have those moments where you feel overwhelmed, where you feel like you are just treading water, like you're about to drown. You're drowning in the self-doubt. You're drowning in the obstacles. You're drowning in the opposition. And that is to be human. Now, if you just want to live a very, very lowly life and don't have big goals and you don't expect a lot out of yourself, if you don't truly believe that you were created in the image of an almighty God who created you to do and be and have so much more than you could even think or imagine, then of course you're going to have less standards, you're going to have less goals, you're going to have a lowlier self-image. Therefore, it's pretty easy to just meander through life as a wandering generality. But if you are a meaningful specific and you want something greater out of this life and you realize you have this tiny short window of opportunity on this life in this life, on this earth, on this planet, in this human race to create something meaningful and of value, then you will most assuredly have those moments where you feel like you are absolutely failing. And as Taylor said, hey, what is your advice when you're feeling mentally defeated? I have days where I feel so deep in the trenches. Shout out, Taylor. Been the exact same way, felt the exact same way. Right now, I'm currently kind of flowing. I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the things that I'm doing. I'm feeling good about the meetings I'm having. I'm feeling good about the forward trajectory. But it's only a matter of time before a week from now, heck, maybe tomorrow or a month from now, I get back into that place where I'm like, God, what am I doing? Why have I put so much on my plate? Or why am I so confused and I don't have clarity about anything in my life? And as I've said many times on this show, remember that everyone that you have ever looked up to has felt that way and maybe currently feeling that way. And just like Taylor said, I have a tendency to mask my problems and keep them held in. Just because you don't see other people's dirt and dirty laundry and pain and struggles doesn't mean they're not going through it. And then secondly, ask God for wisdom. James 1:5 says, he who lacks wisdom, ask for it, and the Lord your God, who gives it abundantly, will give it to you. So I pray that prayer every single day. Hey, God, just give me the wisdom to handle even the things that I don't even know what to ask you specifically, God. Like, you know my heart. Like, God knows your heart. Your Savior, your Creator, He knows your heart. He knows what you're going through. Even if your pride, your ego, your human, your flesh can't come up with the admissions of where you're falling short, where you're stumbling, where you're being lazy, where you're cutting corners. And He'll give you that wisdom. I do truly believe He will give you that wisdom, and He will give you that wisdom in due time. Just because you ask for the wisdom today doesn't mean the wisdom comes today. The wisdom that you're asking for today and tomorrow and the next day might show up finally with clarity. Bam, there it is. Now I know what decision I need to make. So remind yourself that everyone you know or look up to is going through those things. Ask for wisdom, pray for wisdom, humbly every single day. And then also get clear on what it is you actually want to do. I said wandering generality earlier, and I think aimlessness is a vice, and aimlessness is what people turn to, and aimlessness leads to despair when we don't have a meaningful and specific goal of what we want to do, who we want to be, and what we want to have. And I'm not saying you need to have that clarity right now, ASAP, and be eager for and uncomfortable for that result because maybe it's not ready to be revealed to you. Ask for wisdom every single day. And also have the humility to realize, I went to chapel this morning, and Hap read his Bible verse for the in front of the school, which was really cool. And we're talking about the story of Moses and how Moses led the Israelites, and the Egyptians were trying to come get him. And of course, all of their flesh was scared, and they were nervous, and they were not trusting in God, who gave the vision to and the words to Moses to lead the people out and then part the Red Sea. And you guys know the story. But there was that moment of lack of trust. Just trust that it will work out. And I'm not just talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself in those moments where I'm like, God, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm just sitting here talking to myself. I don't know how this is going to shake out, how this is going to happen. Am I going to make the wrong decision? Remember, when you're making decisions, big decisions, small decisions, medium weight decisions, there is no perfect decision sometimes, and there is no decision you can make that's going to catastrophically ruin your life. There's just a decision, and once you make a decision, it becomes the decision. There's no wrong decision. There's just a decision, and once you make it, it becomes the decision, and then you figure it out as you go. So take the pressure off yourself. You weren't called to be perfect. Jesus already did that and died on the cross, being perfect. You weren't called to be perfect. You are a fallible human being who is prone to wander, and you will continue to get better if you believe you deserve to be better, if you believe that you were created in the image of an almighty God. So Taylor, I hope that helps, and anybody else who is listening right now where that speaks to you. Just remember, sometimes the clarity that you want isn't the clarity that you're going to get right now and today. We have to be patient for that clarity because in due time, that clarity will come in every single area of our life. Alrighty, next question comes from Felipe. Hey, Michael, my name is Felipe, and I am a 20-year-old from Brazil. My question to you would be, how do you find motivation to do what's hard when you don't really have to? In my case, I'm not from a poor family, not a rich one, but I've never and will never have to really worry about what I'll eat. And my parents say that I can stay forever with them as long as I am working and studying. With that in mind, I feel like my life is too easy. I don't really have pressure if I don't make up one. Right now, I have a side business that I work on from home. So I stay home all day, all alone, and it's starting to be depressing. I feel like I'm simply stuck in life, and worse, I don't see a big reason to want to get out of it. I know I sound like a spoiled kid right now. Maybe you could help relate to it by already having accomplished so much in your great career, but you still push to pursue more. Why? Love watching you fight. Thanks in advance, Felipe. Felipe, hey man, number one, do not ever feel bad for the situation that you are in. Do not let the people with less than you tell you you are a spoiled kid. Don't let the people who have less than you tell you that you are doing something wrong by not accomplishing way more. But I do think that God created us. Once again, we've talked about relationships and community, and you're talking about having your side hustle and you're working from home all day alone. Get around people. Get around people and spend more time talking about and hearing about other people's problems. Those that don't have your mom and dad's money or don't have your mom and dad's house to live in. It sounds like you said, like you have a life of ease. And I do think one of the worst diseases that we have in life is this aggressive pursuit for comfort. One of the biggest diseases in this life as humans, as human beings, as a whole, everything has become so automated and so easy that we have this relentless pursuit to achieve comfort. And comfort will erode your soul. Comfort will erode your resolve. Comfort will make you less patient. It will make you less kind. It will make you less resilient. Because I do think every man was created, every human being was created for a battle to fight, an adventure to have, and a beauty to win. Especially men. God ingrained that on our heart, a battle to fight, an adventure to have, and a beauty to win. And I'm not talking about physical, violent battles. I'm not saying going off to military or, in my case, fighting in a cage for a living. The battles for the best version of yourself, the battles to challenge yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually. Felipe, the good thing that we have here is that you do have what seems like a decent amount of resources. You say you don't come from a poor family, but you don't come from a rich one, but you will never have to really worry about what you will eat or where you will stay. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but it is a recipe to get very comfortable and be lulled to sleep. And all of a sudden, you're a 20-year-old right now, and all of a sudden you wake up 30 or 35, and you look back and wonder, what have I really gone through? What layers have I added to my human being over the last 10, 15 years? Or have I just been coasting? Coasting can lead to aimlessness, lack of purpose. So find what truly fuels you. Like you said, you have a side hustle, and it's probably something that maybe you're passionate about, maybe you're not passionate about, maybe it's just a way to kind of make money. Maybe it's just a thing to, in air quotes, like you said, as long as I'm working and studying, mom and dad say I can stay with them as long as they let me. But don't let anybody tell you that you're a spoiled kid. And I'm sure there's things you need to work on. I'm sure there's things you need to challenge yourself at. But like I said, at the very beginning of this, as the great Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want in life. If you've got money and you've got ease and you've got a nice bed you're sleeping in, you always got food on the table, you have no wants or you have no needs that are not being met in life. Let's find some things that you want to do. And a lot of times, the best service that you can bring to this world is serving other people. Getting around people who do have a little bit less than you, or getting around people who maybe are going through the same thing as you. We have this, I think, inaccurate vision and view of, people with money or people who come from certain socioeconomic statuses that they just don't have anything to worry about, or they just don't, just because they got food on the table, they got great clothes on their back, and they've got a car, and they live in a house and a roof over their head, that all of a sudden they have a lot less problems than those who have less money and less of those things. And I just don't think that that is true, because as I explained earlier, I do believe that those things in life, where those areas in your life where you don't have any needs, can lead to aimlessness and laziness and lethargy. And since there is no getting your back pushed up against the wall to have to come back out and fight for the food and fight for the money and fight for a roof over your table, or a roof over your head and food on your table, that you can fall into aimlessness. So I would just encourage you to get around people and be of service to people. When you talk about being alone all day long and it starts to be depressing, well, that is human nature. If you sit at your house all day long and you're not around people, you're not serving people, or being poured into other people, or you pouring into other people, you will find yourself in a depressing state or in a anxious state, sitting around wondering, what is my purpose in life? And I don't think that many of us can find our true purpose in life where it doesn't involve other people. So that would be my big encouragement to you and anybody else who's listening right now and say, man, I've really been going hard on this last 6 months in this job, and I feel like it's just me out there by myself. Get around people. Get around more people. Serve other people. Pour into other people. Help other people. And be of service. And Felipe, just like millions of other people out there who are born into, I don't want to call it a silver spoon, or born into these scenarios where you don't have a lot to worry about because of family. I mean, that's the goal of every single family. I'm stuck in this conundrum right now where I've got success and platform and financial success, and we are comfortable and we are good. And I want my children to not ever have to worry about food, worry about clothes, worry about anything, but finding that balance between, hey, knowing the value of a dollar, knowing the value of putting in a day's hard work to earn the dollar, to earn the food, to earn the things that we have. And it's a delicate balance, because sometimes I'm spoiling them too much, and sometimes I'm a little bit too hard on them. And every single day, like I said, we ask God for wisdom to try to figure out each different season, for all the different reasons, how to go throughout this life and figure out what it is that we can pour into each of our different children, to make them as successful and more fulfilled with purpose as possible. So I hope that helps, but don't let anybody tell you that you're a spoiled kid. If anything, fight that narrative by doing things that the poor kids do, doing the serving like the poor, serving, having a work ethic like you're running out of money, like you're running out of food, like you have nothing. So, hope that helps. Next question comes from Jacob. Hey, Mike, Jacob here again. This time it's a question about focus. What advice do you have when it comes to maintaining focus and zoning out the noise and distractions that you have in your life? God bless. See you at the top, Jacob. Great question. Focus comes a little bit somewhat more natural to people than others, based upon, their brain chemistry, or really not really their brain chemistry and how they were born, but the brain chemistry and the habits and the stories and the lies and the truths that they tell themselves, and what they are meditating on the most and what they're thinking about the most. As I said earlier, I have the blessing of being a guy who has a lot of things thrown at him and a lot of different opportunities. And I just have to ask for wisdom every single day of what is ROI positive from a business standpoint, and what is ROI positive from a heart standpoint. What is ROI negative that I know I want to stay away from? And sometimes I have to make a decision, and I make the wrong decision to do something that is ROI negative in order to know, okay, I'm going to check that off the list, or add it to the list of things that I don't want to do. It doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't fulfill my purpose, whether it's business or it's my soul. So what advice do you have when it comes to maintaining focus? I think there is power in the pen. There is power in the pen of writing down right now, today, what you think you want to do, what you think you want to focus on, what you think, not even think, what you know that you need to do. Because there's certain things that we need to do, and there's certain things that we want to do. And I speak this to my children all the time. We have to do what we need to do, not what we want to do. Now, there's times where we get to do what we want, and there's times where we have to do what we want, which is great. And you're like, man, this is great. I want to do this. This is awesome. And then there's sometimes you're like, I do not want to do this. Everything in me does not want to do this. But I know I need to do it in order to move toward the goal. So I think you're writing down the goal, and then writing down what it's going to take to get the goal, and then writing down what you need to do to get to the goal, and then also writing down what you want to do that fulfills you and that you enjoy. And zoning out the noise for me has become very easy these days. With where I'm at now, there is so much noise. But even in different seasons and different things that are going on around the world, and what you kind of get wrapped up in, and what you start to research, and what you really start going down the rabbit hole on, and what you really pour into, I would say, number one, always set aside a few minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, in the morning or before you go to bed or sometime during the middle of the day, to put pen to paper or close your eyes and visualize or pray or think on or study. Because a formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you financially free. Formal education will get you a job, but self-education and continued education will really make you turn you into the man or woman that you were destined to be. So setting aside some time to say, hey, this is my time, whether it's 30 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour of looking into and reading, watching, listening to the things that are going to add layers to your human being. And that will ultimately, by doing that, saying yes to that self-education, the continued education, will open up more focus. It will open up more lanes of focus in your life. I've seen it in my life, those times where I do feel like a wandering generality. I'm chasing every little rabbit down every little trail and really trying to figure out which one I should be pursuing. I remember sometimes you need to have those moments, and this is where grace comes in for yourself. You need to have those moments where you look back at a week or a month or a quarter of a year, and you look back and say, man, I have just been absolutely unfocused, not sure what the heck I'm going to do. I'm a wandering generality instead of a meaningful specific. And then that is a catalyst for getting over the hump and stepping across the line to the person of focus that you want to be. So, Jacob, we are all prone to wander. Everyone listening right now is prone to wander, especially with these phones and social media and the internet and a life of ease that we have created for ourselves in society. It comes with the territory, and it is part of the degeneration of focus, because there's so many things that can catch our eyes and our ears and our hearts at any given moment, where back in the day, 100 years ago, it was a lot easier to be solely focused on something. So show yourself some grace and know that life comes at you for seasons and reasons, and focus will come. And ask for wisdom and ask for focus. That's on your heart. You know you have a focus problem, maintaining focus and zoning out the noise and distractions. Just ask him for it. Ask for it and watch it be bestowed upon you. Next one comes from Brevin. Hey, Michael, what would be your advice for following your dreams? I have a lot of dreams, but I feel like they aren't always what's best for me or my family. I'm 23 and recently married, and I have big aspirations, but being there for my wife is my number one priority. Do I need to give up having big dreams so that I can be a more present father and husband? Goodness gracious, Brevin, what an awesome question. What a conundrum every man has to go through. And not to single out the men and forget about the ladies here, but let's talk about the men. One of the greatest conundrums of a man is, how do I continue to fulfill God's purpose on my life and chase after those things that I know He has put on my heart, while also trying to be a present father and a husband of service, a servant leader in my family. And I am sitting here on this microphone as a guy who is trying to figure it out just like you are. Over a decade older than you, been married for 11 years, 3 children, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think it does come with age. Because I talk about showing yourself grace all the time on this show. We do need to show ourselves grace. We do need to hold ourselves to a high standard, set the standard, and stick to the standard. However, we do need to continue to show ourselves grace, especially in this department. Because as a father and as a husband and as a guy with goals and dreams and aspirations and chasing something, there will always be a time when something is out of whack. It's never going to be perfect. This illusion, this myth of balance is an ailment that will continue to plague people because we just got to figure out how to have everything balanced. There is no perfect balance. If you are firing on all cylinders in your business, in your career, and things are clicking, you're most likely going to feel as though you are choosing that over your wife and over your children. And if you are a present father and you are a servant leader in the home, you will probably most likely feel as though your work is suffering, your goals and your dreams and your aspirations. But I do think that God designed it so it can work perfectly imperfect, if that makes sense. It works perfectly imperfect, and different seasons have their reasons for putting together your life. And while you're focusing on your goals and your dreams and your aspirations and it's taking you away from your family, then you hit the goal, then you can kind of retreat a little bit and come back into family and spending the time with your wife, children. Because I have this all the time. I go into a training camp and I am not the dad that my kids deserve, and I'm not the husband that my wife deserves for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks when I've got the goal. But as soon as I'm done with the goal, win, lose, or draw, I get the thing done. I see through to my commitment. I fulfill my contract for that fight. I'm able to retreat back into normal guy mode, dad mode, husband mode, fill that cup back up. Then I get a little bit antsy, and then it's time to pour myself back into business. And then different seasons, ups and downs of different levels of commitment to both. Now, of course, you're always committed to your wife and you're always committed to your children, but by being fully focused on your goals in your career, creating money, creating financial security and success and platform in the worldly view of the bank account and success in business, isn't that serving your family as well? And on the same token, when God puts something on your heart that you know you're supposed to be pursuing in order to create the best version of yourself, and if you're the best version of yourself in your job, in your profession, in your line of work, does that not make you a better, more fulfilled husband? Make you a better, more fulfilled father? Because I can tell you this, if I go into a training camp and I'm kind of halfway doing it, and I know I'm not giving my full self to it, I'm going to get the job done, win, lose, or draw, and I'm going to come back and be mad at myself, ashamed of myself, knowing that I didn't pour my full self into the craft that God created me to pursue, to then come back home to live with regret because I maybe spent a little bit too much time wishing I was home, or skipping out on workouts, or not eating clean, or not working out to the best of my ability. So when we are home, it's more important to focus on being present and focus on service and focusing on being the leader in the household. And then when it's time to go work, we go work. And then we leave work at work, and then we come home. It is a conundrum as old as time for men especially. So Brevin, take it from me, a guy who's over a decade older than you, been working for a lot longer than you, been a father for a lot longer than you, been married for a lot longer than you, that I sit over here a decade and a half older than you, and I'm still trying to show myself grace every single day. My head hits the pillow at night, and I take stock in how I'm doing at this given season. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing great, and sometimes I feel like I'm not doing so great. But only by having those moments where you feel like you're not doing so great, can you think of a list of intentional things that you can do to be a more present father and a more present husband. husband. And today, right after we get done with this show, I am taking my son Ace to his sports camp with Coach Kyle. And then I'm going to pick my son Hap up at school. However, last week I missed Ace's thing because I was working, and I didn't pick Hap up yesterday because I was working. I was at a meeting. So that's kind of the ebbs and flows, right? Well, yesterday, but I didn't really feel guilty yesterday about it because I know I was working and I know I'm fulfilling God's purpose on my life. But when I can, I will. I'm not always going to, but it's more important for your children to know that their dad has to work, especially our sons. I want my sons to know every man has to work. And it is incumbent upon us to work diligently and create a life of purpose for ourselves. Not just purpose out into the world, but a purpose in our heart, so we know that we are squeezing every single thing that we can out of this life, out of our profession, out of our talents and our gifts and our abilities that have been bestowed upon us. The conundrum of a man, how to figure out the balance, the myth of balance between work and fatherhood and husbandry. Keep on keeping on, Brevin, because you're going to be dealing with it, questioning it, enjoying it, failing at it, succeeding at it for the rest of your life. But, and this is where I want to end this and put an exclamation mark on it. The fact that you even sent this question in means you care more than you probably think you do. Means you're doing a better job than you think you are doing. Just by sending in this question and asking for advice on this is indicative of a man who wants to be better and who wants to find the balance. So kudos to you, and kudos to every single father, every single mother who's out there struggling and trying to figure out this thing called balance between work and family and play and pleasure and purpose and happiness and all of these different things that we call the human condition. Kudos to you, Brevin. I bet you're a great father, a great husband, and I bet you are a man who is going to continue to do great things in life. All right, next one from Adrian. Hey, Michael, I appreciate and love listening to the podcast, and you are one of my favorite fighters. My name is Adrian, and I am an 18-year-old amateur boxer. I am asking you today how to deal with self-worth issues that relate to boxing. I feel like I dedicate so much time and effort into boxing that when I'm doing well, I feel like a great person mentally, but after a bad training session or fight, I have self-doubts and end up in a negative mental space. This no doubt helps me train even harder, but I don't think it's a healthy thing. I try to stay faithful with God and believing that I am worth it no matter the outcome, but it can be tough. I feel that so much of my self-image and self-worth is tied up into boxing. Any advice? Yes, I do have some advice, Adrian. I've been there as well. My entire identity was wrapped up in mixed martial arts and training and being the guy who trains. And with that comes the pressure of the wins and the losses being the end all be all, when really it's just a marathon, not a sprint. And something that my mentor, Chris Patterson, told me one day after a practice. I had become world champion. I'm ranked top 3 in the world. Had beat Eddie Alvarez a fight or two before. I'm the Bellator champ. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm the hype train. I'm the guy where everybody's like, man, this guy needs to come over to the UFC and fight Benson Henderson and Anthony Pettis and Frankie Edgar. He's one of the best in the world. We want to see him against the best guys. And all that stuff started eating into and feeding into my brain and my training sessions. And all of a sudden, I found myself focusing on perfection and not just focusing on success. See, the problem with mixed martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, combat sports in general, and even just sports in general, is there's almost no perfect performance, and there is almost no perfect practice, and there is almost no perfect sparring session. When you're talking about round after round after round and minute after minute after minute, competing against another human being who has a vote in every single scenario, who has their mannerisms and their habits and their idiosyncrasies and their movements and their talents and their gifts. And it's not as though you're sitting there on a computer coding something, or you're singing a song where you can hit every note perfectly with enough practice, or a million other examples you can think of that are pretty binary. Combat sports is something where success isn't promised for anybody, who isn't willing to put the work in for an extended period of time and continue to go from bad training session to good training session to mediocre training session to good training session, and so on and so forth, of this constant up and down roller coaster every single day. So Adrian, it sounds to me like you're focusing on perfection instead of focusing on success. And that's what my mentor, Chris Patterson, told me one day after practice. I'm the world champion. I got all this pressure on myself. And I'm like, call him, got tears in my eyes, and I'm mad and I'm ticked off and I'm all the bad emotions. I'm like, Chris, dude, how am I supposed to beat my next opponent if I can't even beat this guy in the gym? And Rolando was leg kicking me, and then Chris took me down, and this guy hit me with a couple jabs, and I can't stop the jab, and my cardio didn't feel great. I'm just not in great shape. He's like, well, Michael, sounds to me like you're not perfect. I'm like, yeah, I'm not perfect, dude. I suck today, And he's like, no, but I mean, you're trying to focus so much on being perfect because you put this pressure on yourself when really you just need to focus on being successful. Did you get the job done today? Did you finish the training session? Well, yeah. Well, did you have some good moments in practice? Did you work on some things and see some positives? Well, yeah, but there were some other negatives too. I was like, yeah, but there's going to be negatives in everything. Stop focusing so much on being perfect and just focus on being successful. You were successful because you showed up today. You were successful today because you put the work in. You were successful today in certain areas. You were successful today because you put the work in. And today really will end tonight after the sun goes down, and you'll go to bed and you'll wake up, and tomorrow you get another opportunity to be successful again. So we can put so much pressure on ourselves with these crazy expectations of ourselves. And Adrian, don't forget that you're 18 years old. You're still very, very young. I don't know if you've been boxing since you were 5, but we don't know how long you've been boxing. But you haven't been boxing very long, being only 18 years old. Don't think about the 18 or 19-year-old self. Think about the 29-year-old self. Think about the 39-year-old self. Think about who you want to be and what you need to do between now and the next decade to become, I would imagine, a pro boxer or in combat sports. And know that you are Adrian. You are not the boxer. You are Adrian who boxes, not a boxer. It's not everything that you are. Don't wrap your identity so much up into it, and realize that you will suffer losses, and you will have setbacks, and you will have bad training sessions. You will get your butt whooped by a sparring partner 1 week before you're supposed to go out there and fight. Some of the best performances I've ever had, I got absolutely mollywopped in the gym the week before I was supposed to fight. The last sparring session, like a week and a half, 2 weeks before, horrible sparring session. Absolutely mollywopped by guys that you have never even heard of, mainly because of my own, mental pressure that I put on myself, but absolutely mollywopped. And I'm thinking, man, I just lost to this guy badly in training. And how am I supposed to get in an octagon or a cage and go fight one of the best guys in the entire world and go beat him? And then all of a sudden I go out there, everything's clicking, the bright lights come on, we're ready to go, and I go out there and have a great performance. So don't judge the day by the harvest that you reap. Judge the day by the seeds that you are planting. Keep on planting those seeds. Every single day, little bitty trowel, little seed planted, little bitty dig, seed planted. Every single day. Don't judge each day by the harvest that you are reaping, but by the seeds that you are sowing, the seeds for the future that you are sowing. Don't put the pressure on yourself to be perfect, because you were not called to be perfect. You were called to be significant and extraordinary, and you will become extraordinary if you continue to pursue every single day, through the doubts, through the fear, through the failure, through the loss, through the setback. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm going to say it again. Don't focus on the 18-year-old self or who you are now as a young combat sports athlete. Think about you 10 years from now. So I hope that helps. And keep on boxing, keep on training, keep on getting after it. Next one comes from Corey. Hi, Michael. I know you have mentioned that you don't have interest in coaching after you retire from fighting. I was wondering, did your experience on Tough affect your desire to coach in either direction? Thanks. I'll see you at the top. Corey. Corey, it's a good question. Did I enjoy The Ultimate Fighter? I absolutely loved every single second of it. Did I absolutely love my guys, my team? Did I love putting together a staff? Did I love waking up early before every single person on the team and doing my quiet time and getting in my journal? I've got my journal here still in this um, in my office here in my studio, and it's a big red moleskin journal, and it's got about 70 pages written in it because every single morning I'd get up and I'd be worried about, okay, what are we going to do today to plan for these guys? We've got this issue going on over here. We've got this guy fighting this guy. We got this guy. We got Cody dealing with an injury. We're worried about Kurt's mindset. We're worried about Jason's this. And we kind of put together a plan, and then I'd meet with my coaches and we'd go over that. And I would take the constructive criticism because I believe I'd put together a great coaching staff, some of which knew a lot more than I did. So I enjoyed it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. However, when it comes to coaching, do I think I'd be a great coach? I do. I think the type of dedication and discipline that I show and exude in every area of my life, but especially my mixed martial arts life as a fighter, if I poured that into coaching, I do believe I would be probably one of the best coaches on the planet. That being said, I've spent the last 25 years of hand-to-hand combat, the last 16 years in mixed martial arts, traveled the world and had all these fights and all these training camps, and now with a wife and 3 children. When I leave my family to go to training camp and go fully focused dark mode for 10 weeks leading up to a fight, it's for my family and it's for me so I can fulfill my purpose, so I can reach that goal, win, lose, or draw. I'm getting to the fight and I'm going to fight and I'm going to go perform. That's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make for my family. But I would not be willing to do that for somebody else's career. And I don't know if that sounds selfish to somebody. I don't know if there's somebody out there who thinks, man, Michael doesn't want to give back to the sport. I'll find ways to give back to the sport. I'll find ways to give back to humanity as a whole. But I don't think, actually I know pretty much for a fact that it will not be coaching mixed martial arts. Now, I do own a gym here in Nashville. If anybody's ever coming through Nashville, come out to Nashville MMA Training Camp, 1504 Elm Hill Pike. Great gym. We got the best gym in town, the most amount of mat space, a couple octagons in there, a couple cages, great coaches. And I train in there, and every now and then I jump into some classes, and every now and then I do coach a little bit because why not? But consistently traveling every single weekend and going to Vegas for the UFC or Houston for PFL or Vegas for Baroka. Shout out to Randall Alleman, my manager, who has a promotion in Las Vegas. Going every single weekend, leaving on a Wednesday to go coach a guy and sit in a hotel room and do what my coaches do for me. Once again, it kind of does sound selfish, right, Connor? I'm like, well, I don't want to do what they're doing, even though they do it for me. But I just think God's given me some vision for what I want to do next, and it's not going to be mixed martial arts coaching. Maybe if I was single and didn't have a wife and 3 kids and I could go travel every single weekend, maybe. And obviously there's the financial incentive, if they were paid like Bill Belichick. If I was making Bill Belichick money, I'd think about being a mixed martial arts coach. But that's just not the case. So it's a good question. I think more than anything, if you just watched my coaching style, if you go back and watch those episodes, you can tell how much I care. And maybe it was because I had the veterans. Maybe it was because these guys had a second chance. Maybe it's because I felt like those guys had felt. I never got cut from Bellator, and I've never been cut from a promotion. As a matter of fact, obviously, Bellator fought like heck to try to keep me, and I ended up going to the UFC, and the UFC is going to let me stay and keep on putting on great performances until I'm ready to hang up the gloves, because I've made myself a indispensable asset through my performances, as well as, even more importantly, my demeanor, marketability, coachability, and all those different things. But you could tell how much I cared. And even I saw something in those guys. And I remember back when I went 688 days without winning a fight and I lost 3 fights in a row and I wasn't sure about my future. I felt that young me with that despair and that the pressure of the next fight, the pressure of the opportunity that my guys had. And so I poured especially hard into them, obviously. And I enjoyed the process. I knew I had 5 weeks, 6 weeks in Las Vegas. I knew it was a finite amount of time. I knew there was an ending, March, whatever, we were going to leave. And that was when the finale was. And then we were going to, promote the show and watch it on ESPN for 12 weeks straight. And there was kind of just a big package with a bow on top, and this is the package, this is the start date, this is the end date. Go pour yourself fully into it. So I would love to do it again, though. I would actually love to do the Ultimate Fighter again. I think it'd be awesome at some point. But you could tell how much I cared because I really did. I took my coaching more serious or just as serious as I took my fight camps. And as a matter of fact, I put myself on the back burner. I was there at a gym every single day, twice a day with guys my size who I could be training with. And I didn't do a lot of training with them because I was so focused on, well, I can get a good sparring session in with Roe or Jason or Kurt. But if I'm doing that, I'm not focused on Cody and Brad and Teamer and all those other guys, all the guys on my team. I'm just focused on myself and sparring. I'm not able to see the full picture of my team. So I put myself on the back burner. I didn't really train that much while I was there. Got more out of shape by being in the gym every single day because I poured myself so much into coaching. And you kind of can see how that can happen as a coach because you're so focused on serving the other guys and you're not really serving your own needs. So it's a good question. Philosophically, loved the opportunity. I love the idea of coaching and pouring into people, but I can also do that in business. I can do that through my podcast. I can do that through my book. I can do that through my documentary. I can do that through the businesses that I am involved in, on the board in, invested in, owners of, and ultimately speaking from stages like I did last week. And like me and Connor are going to Ben Newman's Big As Texas boot camp, I think it's called, here in October, first week of October. And then speaking on another stage the month after and just pouring into people that way, being around people that way. So we'll see. Never say never, but my heart right now says probably not. So, with that being said, that was the last question and we'll kind of wrap it up here, man. I just, as I said, every single time we do this show, I'm amazed at y'all's, love for trying to get better, the pursuit of trying to become a better version of yourself. That's what I'm trying to do every single day in every single way and through every single different season, through every single setback and up and down, in this life. And thank you guys for trusting me to give you my wisdom in the moment. It's what's really funny about a show and an environment like this is I believe that we're getting the right questions at the right time while I am focused, and asking for wisdom before every show so that I can give you guys the best information that can really touch your heart. Or maybe somebody who's going through something right now that you want to send it to them because you believe that it would touch them. So, and to recap, only thing that we ask that you do is share the show, leave a review, like, subscribe, do all those things. Send your questions into podcast@michaelchandler.com. Encourage your friends to watch the show, listen to the show, because I really am just trying to contribute to this world. And that's the only reason that we're really doing it. And if this spoke to you or you think it would speak to someone else, share it now. And just want to say God bless you, every single one of you guys. Know that your best days and blessed days are out ahead of you. And if there's anything that you would learn from my life and the blueprint that I have gone through the last 25 years of hand-to-hand combat, was that I was a little guy from a little town who was taught to do little things. And by the grace of God, a little bit of luck, some extenuating circumstances, some struggles with self-belief and continuing to move forward and being beat down to my knees and pulling myself back up, winning world titles and losing world titles and making great money and in certain partnerships and then losing them and then getting married and children and all those different things. It's just, life is a beautiful, chaotic orchestra of never knowing what is behind the next door, never knowing what the next phase of your life is, never knowing what the next season is, but always knowing that it's going to work out eventually. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you. Send your questions in and share the show because we're going to try to keep on growing this thing so I can continue to serve as many people as I possibly can. Remember, you can help you can have everything you want in life if you would just help enough other people get what they want in life. God bless y'all. Have a great day. See you at the top.